up guys, this is Chris here, and today we've got a bit of a behemoth video for you. Today I'm going to attempt to compare the four at least most popular 5.7 pistols on the market. I think they're the only real options for 5.7 pistols. However, if there are more, you'll have to let me know in the comment section below. That being said, in regular stores and local areas and most places, these are the four that are available. So these are the four we're gonna compare. So let's show you quick which ones that we're gonna compare. This is the FN 5.7 Mark III. It is the newest version of the 5.7. There is an older one. So we're gonna go over this one. We're going to be talking about the Palmetto 5.7 here, the Rock 5.7, and that is a cool little pistol we're going to be talking about a lot. The Smith & Wesson 5.7, which is probably the most unique gun on the table. And then we're also going to be going over the Ruger 5.7, which is arguably the most popular of the four of these. And we'll kind of compare and contrast not only the specs, barrel length, all that stuff, but the price, what you'd use them for, and which one I would recommend. Before we get into that, I do want to mention my page supporters. Thank you guys very much. It's because of you we have these guns. We really appreciate that. You buy all the very expensive 5.7 ammo for us to do reviews, so we appreciate it. And if you want to help out the channel, all you got to do is go down to the link in the description and just sign up for Patreon. Also in that link is a local shelter in Ames, Iowa. It's the YSS. Those kids could really use your help. It's local to us, it's near and dear to our heart, and I would appreciate it if you'd help out those kids. That link will bring you right to the donate page. And finally, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Sonoran Desert Institute. They're one of our favorite sponsors. I'm a big fan of what they give to people, and I'm a big fan of being able to get educated in a field that you're passionate about. I like that they offer education for not only gunsmithing, but drone technology and tons of other subjects that are unique and fun. There is not a lot of qualified or quality gunsmiths in my area or anywhere around, and I think it's a profession that not only helps people, but you can make a lot of money in. And I think one of the best ways to go to get into that is going to be the Sonoran Desert Institute. So let's start off with the pros and cons of the 5.7 round. Very shootable. That's why I love 5.7. It's like a little mini rifle round coming out of a handgun. And rifles, to me, it doesn't make any sense because usually they're as heavy and as expensive as a 5.56, in which case, if there's a better option, go that route. Now, a 9mm versus 5.7 is a little bit different because you have a lighter, higher capacity round that shoots flatter, that still does decent ballistics. Now it's more expensive, but you do get something in return as opposed to a rifle. It is light recoiling, it's very accurate, but it is very expensive. All the reviews on this table were very expensive. It's $1 to $1.50 a round, and we have 1,000 round reviews on 2 out of the 4 of these. So the FN 5.7 is going to be the most expensive on the table. It's one of the newest designs. It comes with adjustable illuminated sights, an optics mount with plates right out of the box, front and rear serrations, Picatinny rail, super weird FN European style safety, which I definitely do not recommend, cocking fins on the back, an aggressive grip. We get 20 plus 1, 2 magazines in the box, full polymer mags, and then we have an okay trigger with pretty decent controls and a magazine disconnect, which means that if I don't have a magazine in the gun, I can't pull the trigger, which kind of eliminates dry fire, which kind of sucks, or at least it makes it a lot harder. Here is the Palmetto Rock 5.7. Now recently I think they dropped the Dagger 5.7 as well. I don't have any experience with that, but forever this was the only one. And this gun has a 23 plus 1 capacity, 25 ounce overall weight. So these are almost exactly the same size and weight, but the Palmetto has 3 rounds more in the magazine. We have a 4.7 inch barrel on the Palmetto instead of a 4.8 on the FN 5.7, and both of these are delayed blowback, whereas you get the cheesy, cheap illuminated 5.7 sights. And the reason why I don't like these is because let's say you're in a holster, well, you're gonna get sunlight on the rear and not on the front. So you imagine if you pull the gun out, you're gonna only see the rear sight, not the front sight. That's very stupid because you wanna see the front sight. So in my opinion, these are a waste of space, whereas the tritium sights work very, very well. And this gun is only 400 bucks, whereas this gun is 1,500 bucks. So keep that in mind. Now we'll go to the Smith & Wesson here, which runs a very interesting gas system in it, which makes it have lower recoil than the other guns on the table.
So flat shooting, zero recoil.
It has a threaded barrel out of the box. It has slide cuts, slide serrations on the front and rear. It has a dedicated 507 Holosun cut to it there. So all just the Shield RMS pattern optics will direct mount to that, but you can't put bigger optics on it like you can the FN57 or the Palmetto. Now I'm not sure if they're going to be doing that later, but I think that's the way it currently is. You can either get these with or without a safety. With the FN you have to have it. With the Palmetto you don't have it, and with this one you get the option. This gun here generally has the best trigger in my personal opinion, has a flat face with a very crisp break, very light break. We have Picatinny rails on all three of these guns, so you can put lights or lasers or whatever you want. I do suggest a weapon light for home defense gun particularly, so it's good that those have those. This gun has the most rounds through it out of all the ones on the table, because this one I have shot over and over and over again for videos. It's very popular. It was a big release. It is very, very reliable, and we'll get into that later, but it also has the white dot sights. So the first one illuminated, second one tritium, and these are just regular old white dot sights, but they are steel, which is kind of nice. The MSRP on this guy is $700. So the Ruger MSRP is $800. We have 20 plus one as opposed to the, 22 plus one capacity of the Smith & Wesson. So these two have the least amount of capacity in the magazine, but it's still 20 plus one, which is an awful lot. The weight on this is 24.5 ounces, which is very similar to these two guns right here, because both of those are delayed blowback, whereas the gas system gun with the Tempo barrel system is a little bit heavier at 27 ounces. That is the Smith right here. Now this one, as far as sights go, we have a fiber optic front with a black adjustable rear, which is really good for target sights. In my opinion, the 5.7 round really lends itself to be a target gun because it is very flat shooting at distance, very low recoil, and you can shoot extremely well with these guns.
Well, hey. Look at me just being a rock star.
We have slide serrations and slide cuts just like the Smith & Wesson. Picatinny rail just like all the others. No magazine disconnect in this one. We have pretty good ergonomics, and then we have an ambi safety on this gun, which is very nice in my opinion. It's done very well. It feels a lot like a 1911. And then it has M&P style takedown with, as I said before, 20 round magazine. Now the trigger on this gun is very good. We'll just ghost all these for you here real quick. The reset's not so good, but the pull itself is great. That lends itself to accuracy and not quite to speed. Smith here. Very, very light and crisp trigger. Very, very short reset. Now part of that is due to how much I've actually shot this, but the Smith did have the best trigger out of the box. For me at least, shortest reset, lightest pull, depending on what you're looking for, that's what I'm looking for. Now the Palmetto, in my opinion, has the second best trigger. Very, very nice break, especially for a $400 gun. Very short reset. Definitely on par with the Smith & Wesson. Very impressive, considering a $400 gun. All right, now the FN here, since it has the magazine disconnect, which is annoying, we have to put the magazine in the gun in order for it to actually work the trigger. So you can see the trigger here. Not a terrible break, but the reset is very long. And I would say it's probably, out of all the guns, I would probably say the Smith has the best trigger. The Palmetto, second best. I'd probably say the FN has the third best, and then the Ruger coming up last simply because of this very long reset. Now, let's talk about the magazines for a second here, because we already talked about capacity. We didn't talk about overall build quality and ability to reload and ability to keep the gun reliable. And a lot of that has to do with the magazine. The magazine's kind of the heart of the gun, and if the magazines don't work, the semi-automatic pistol does not work. So let's start with the Ruger here, and we'll talk about its magazine. Now, it's got 20 round magazine capacity, which is very nice, and it has solid base plates that have never fallen apart on me when I've dropped the gun. I like that a lot. Not only do I like steel magazines because they're more durable, but I like them because they enter the gun very nicely. She likes it all lubed up, and the steel ones go in quick and they come out quick, and I like that a lot. Now, the Smith magazine, we have a stainless steel magazine. Not only does it look cool, but the thing I like about it a lot is the fact they look very unique, and in my big magazine container in the back room there, I can find them real quick. But that's not why I like it. Again, very slick, very smooth, goes in the gun, comes out of the gun really, really nicely. And on this, you have a 22+1 capacity, and for $700, 22+1 is awesome. Again, another metal magazine on the Palmetto, $400 gun, 23+1, still goes in there nice and smooth. Still comes out nice and smooth. Now this is where we run into problems with the FN. because this guy feels like a freaking squirt gun. These magazines are very cheap. They're all polymer. They fall apart, and I don't like that. And on top of that, they seem to get stuck sometimes in and out of the gun. And for the overall price of $1,500 as opposed to the other guns, which all come in at like $800 or under, I would consider this magazine design not only subpar, but unacceptable.
Damn.
It also has the smallest capacity of all of them, tied with the Ruger. Getting into sighting systems right out of the gate, I would actually consider the FN probably the best because it has a universal optics mounting system that accepts tons of optics right out of the box. However, I don't like the illuminated sights. It is dope that they are tall and they do co-witness with an optic, and I also like that it has an adjustable rear. A lot of thought put into that, and I think that's probably the overall best sighting system out of the box. The second best sighting system, in my opinion, is going to be the direct mount Smith & Wesson, because we also get an optic system right out of the box, and actually it could go better or worse depending on your preferences. So we do get a variety of larger optics on the FN, but we do get a more secure optics mounting system and a lower optics mounting system on the Smith & Wesson because it is a direct cut. When you don't have plates to interface to break for extra screws to come out, you have less things that can go wrong, and if you have less things that can go wrong, you generally have less things that do go wrong. So you do get a smaller window on this, but the advantage to this is that it does take advantage of the thin profile of the 5.7 pistols in general, or should I say these two, which is kind of what I wanted to talk about here. Both these are very light and very thin, and they are much thinner than the FN 5.7, which in my opinion is needlessly chunky. Now, I would say the third best sights are probably going to be the Ruger, just simply because it is going to be double the price of the Palmetto. It does come with a higher quality set of sights. You get an adjustable rear with a fiber optic front, and I think that makes for a bang and target gun, and I really like the Ruger because it is extremely accurate because of that. Now, it is slower than the other three because it has a longer reset on the trigger, but remember, it does have a very nice clean break and a good set of sights, and you can really hit your target with this thing. Now, as far as reliability goes on all these guns, we have a something like 1500 through the Smith & Wesson, and no failures, and very, very reliable, durable platform. Then we have in second place, I would say the Ruger. The Ruger, we've had 1 or 2 failures. But we've had an awful lot of rounds for this, maybe 1,000 rounds for this, and we have not cleaned this gun at all. And for about $800, I think Ruger made a very reliable gun here. I know a lot of people that have these and are very happy with these. Again, this is probably the most popular over the past few years. I even know a lot of farmers who use these to shoot rabbits and raccoons and shit now, just simply because it's so light recoil, you can get a good capacity, very light gun at 24 ounces, you barely even notice it's there. And the Ruger is popular because of its accuracy. It's a very accurate pistol, and what it's designed for, not really rapid fire, more for precision shooting in my opinion. I think it does a great job. In third place, I would say the Palmetto, just simply because we had the least rounds through it currently. We only have 300 or 400 through it, but no failures at all. And at the $400 price point, that's extremely impressive. And then coming up the rear is going to be the FN 5.7 Mark III, which we have 500-ish rounds through, and we've had 3 failures. So most expensive gun is also the least reliable. Seem to have had quite the problem there. It's funny how things fuck up when you start going fast, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm hammering on FN here, but they do come up way last.
Well, they were first, and so they didn't have much competition, and now they have to innovate.
It's true, they do. They do. Kind of stood on their laurels for a long time as far as the Call of Duty and like stuff crowd, you know, because out of all these, as far as pop culture goes, the only one that's pop culture famous is going to be the FN. Mm-hmm. This one's in video games and movies, and that's simply the older one. It was the first one after all. And like you said, they kind of rested on their laurels, and they kind of didn't come out with any new design cues, and they kind of came out with a price point for, in my opinion, a $1,500 squirt gun that doesn't really compare in features and price point and even performance with some of the other guns on the table. So, I mean, I was kind of alluding to this, but as far as ranking them 1 to 4, in my opinion, this is going to be 4. So coming in at number 3, I would definitely probably say the Ruger 5.7, just simply because accuracy, reliability, everything taken into account. The fact this is the second most expensive gun, it is very accurate, but mine at least did not come optics ready. Mine isn't as reliable as maybe the other two are, and it just doesn't perform quite as well as the Palmetto or the Smith, in my opinion, especially if you're coming out for more money. So that's where we're going with a lot of these. Now the Ruger's not a bad gun, the FN's not a bad gun, none of these are bad guns. It's just in the realm of what you get for the money, and that's kind of what I'm gauging these on here. So I like the Ruger, don't get me wrong, but if I had to choose between this or the Smith or the Palmetto, I'm going with one of those two. Now in second place, I'm gonna go with the Palmetto currently. Now the Palmetto actually could be number 1. They actually make these guns with optics mounts now that are like $450, which is a very, very good deal for the money. These have great triggers, it's been reliable so far. One of the best ergonomics, not on the grip just for 5.7s, but on any grip that I've ever felt. It feels great, it feels good in your hand. Immediately when I took this out, I started to love it. It comes with night sights right out of the box, front and rear serrations, a Picatinny rail, a dope trigger, and all of that, plus the grip, and then 2 23 round magazines for the $400 price point. That's freaking hard to beat. And on top of that, made right here in America, very impressive on the Palmetto. And I haven't done the full review yet, but I would recommend this so far based on the rounds that we've had through it so far. Now again, sample size of 1, and when you get into cheap guns, sometimes you get good ones, sometimes you get bad ones, keep that in mind. Out of all these guns on the table, you're probably most likely to get a lemon from Palmetto just simply due to the price point. But that being said, mine's a rock star, and I think you have a good chance at it yourself. Finally, at number 1, I don't think it should surprise you that much if you watch my channel. I freaking love this gun. The tempo barrel system in the M&P just makes so much of a difference between the other 3. You gotta understand, they're all 5.7 pistols, they're all full size, they all have similar capacities, they all have similar barrel lengths, but one of these isn't playing in the same league.
You did get it.
Woo! I like this. And that's the Smith due to that tempo barrel system. So because of that, we're gonna have way less recoil with this than we are with the other 2. This thing literally feels like shooting a 22 long rifle. I'm not even joking around. When people shoot this, they can't even believe it's real. Wow.
I am so in love with this.
I told you it had very light recoil.
Maybe more than you.
That's rude. And coming in at the $600 to $700 price point and having all the features that this does, I mean, this has as much or more features than any of the other guns on the table. Comes out with the threaded barrel, quality sights, optics mount, Picatinny rail, solid look, good coating, reliable, best trigger, and it has a really good capacity out of the box as well of 22 rounds, the second highest capacity. Stupid impressive. Probably the most high quality magazines and base plates. I mean, you can drop the shit out of these and they're not gonna break. And that's what I'm looking for when I'm looking at a magazine. I want it to run the gun reliably, and I don't want it to come open when I drop it on the ground. And for that, I think Smith gets a big win. Reliable, accurate, fast. Everything in this gun I absolutely love. That being said, the close contender certainly is the Palmetto, simply because even though this is very cheap, this is cheaper, and this is almost 2/3 of the cost, making it a great buy for the money, but so is the Smith. So I just wanted to kind of compare and contrast those and kind of give you my opinion on what I think. Now that might not be right for you, but it is right for me. And if I was gonna pick 2 out of the 4 of these without cost ratio, I would still pick these 2. So I do believe they are the clear winner. So if you like these type of videos, let me know. I can do more of these. It just takes a lot of brain power to remember all the data on 4 guns at once. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please stop by our Oklahoma shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.